Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video and hope you guys are doing well. Today, in this video, we'll be talking about professions in Cataclysm. Right now in Wrath of the Lich King, professions offer a noticeable increase in performance, with some being much better than others. Cataclysm professions offer a similar level of power, however, with a much better balance overall. So let's talk about what they bring and we can get into where the real winners are. So going through them, alchemy first brings mixology, which allows increased duration or effect of any flask or uh, of effect you bring. It basically gives you an 80 increase to primary stat. You then also get a trinket. Now I'm going to talk more about these later on, but some professions bring these kind of first tier, very good items. So alchemy is one of them. It brings either a stamina mastery trinket with a socket, it brings an agi crit trinket with a socket, it brings an intellect haste trinket with a socket, or a strength mastery trinket with a socket. All of these are very good early game. It also brings Flask of Enhancement, which is awesome because it basically allows you to always have a flask on. Like, you don't have to pay for it. It's once you've crafted it, you can just reuse it over and over again, which is really cool. So blacksmithing. Blacksmithing adds the socket bracer and socket gloves craft, which allows you to have 2 extra gems in your equipment. Now, this gives you a base increase of 80 primary stats. However, later in the expansion, when we get access to the epic gems, which I believe will be the Dragon Soul patch, we will actually be able to gain 100 extra intellect through this. So it will be currently the best provided, best increase in primary stat once we get to that point. Other than that, 80 primary stat. Next, we have Enchanting. Now, Enchanting brings 4 different enchants: Enchant Ring Agility, Enchant Ring Intellect, Enchant Ring Strength, all of which give 80, and then Enchant Ring Greater Stamina, giving 120 stamina, which, brilliant. So, again, you're not going to be able to get ring enchants anywhere else, so having these is just exclusive to Enchanting, and that's all it brings other than having the profession itself. Now, engineering. Engineering brings a lot. So the first thing they bring is engineering helmets. So these are goggles, they have a meta gem in, and they also have 2 cogwheels, which I'll talk more about in a second. But they are 359 and very good for the first tier of raiding. You're unlikely to be able to replace these, except maybe with a tier piece, just for your 4 set. Other than that, you'd probably run the goggles and your 4 piece for a long time in the first tier. So they are very good chase items. Now, them in the cells, cogwheels allow you to basically buy a cogwheel of a certain stat and socket that into your helmet. So if I wanted a set of goggles with crit mastery, I'd buy a crit cogwheel, a mastery cogwheel, and socket them in, which is really cool. You also get some of the default effects that we've seen in the past: healing injector, you get mana pots, you get a shield, you get rocket boots. However, all of these have a much higher chance of failing. The only one that doesn't seem to have much of a chance of failing is Synapse Springs, which is effectively like an unused trinket. It shares a cooldown with trinkets. It has a 1 minute cooldown and provides 540, I believe, primary stat, which is very good if you don't have an unused trinket. Now, someone who plays a lot of Ellie Shami, my best trinkets for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of Cataclysm, or for the raid tier, sorry, will all be proc trinkets, which means Synapse Springs for me is amazing. However, for other classes that want an unused trinket, it's just not very good at all. Now, herbalism. Yeah, I said herbalism. Herbalism is actually a viable raiding profession. It's not the best, but it's okay. It gives 400. It gives an unused ability, which is off the global cooldown, which gives 480 haste at max level for 20 seconds on a 2 minute cooldown. Now, if you're a class that can sync this with something else, that's actually a really big bonus. It doesn't quite give as much just raw damage as the primary stat ones, but it's pretty nice. Now, Inscription. Inscription gives you a shoulder enchant, which gives you either 130 intellect and 25 haste, which is 80 intellect over the normal enchants, 195 stamina and 25 dodge rating, 120 stamina over the normal enchants, 130 strength and 25 quick strike rating, which is 80 strength over the normal enchants, and 130 agility and 25 mastery, which is 80 agility over the normal enchants. So you can go and get shoulder enchants from Therazane. They're a bit of a pain to get, however, most people will have them on retail. or classic, sorry, when it comes around. Um, Inscription allows you to skip that grind and give you the standard 80 primary stat or 120 stamina bonus on top of that. Jewel crafting then. There is a jewel crafter only gem called Chimera's Eye, works similar to the jewels in Wrath of the Lich King currently, gives you increased stats based on basically just socketing them in your gear. Now, while we have the blue gems, this will give 81 stat or 123 stamina, depending on what you choose to obviously socket. Once we get the epic gems, obviously this falls off a little bit worse because you're not gaining as much of a bonus. So it's actually one of the higher ones by one stat early on, but overall it's not that much. Now, leatherworking, I mean, it's the same thing again. You can either have 80 strength, intellect, or agility on your legs, or 130 stamina, I believe it is. 120 stamina. And yeah, you basically. Oh, sorry, 152 stamina because there's no enchant on legs for stamina. So, yeah, you can have quite a big bonus on leatherworking for a tank, but other than that, it's your normal 80 everywhere else. Mining actually just gives a default 120 stamina. So, again, if you're a tank and you want mining, that's a completely viable thing. Skinning gives 80 crit strike rating, which is probably one of the weakest professions currently in the game. Almost no one will take this. You'd prefer the primary stat. Now, tailoring doesn't give base just permanent stats, it gives procs. It gives either a proc for 800 mana. This is a cloak enchant. So you are going to lose the cloak enchant as well as having this. It gives a proc for 580 spell power for 15 seconds, or a proc for 800 attack power for 15 seconds. Now, for casters, this is almost always the best option. For me personally, going into Cataclysm on my chamois, I'll be running Tailoring Engineering. Gives me the goggles, gives me the cloak enchant, gives me the synapse springs, all that good stuff. That will be my preference. But actually, all of the professions are really, really well balanced. So I think like things like alchemy are going to be a big hit early on. One, they can make a lot of money through true gold, but two, I mean, they just make great trinkets which are going to be hard to come by early on. Aside from that, I mean, I'll put a link into the description of where I'm getting all this information. But overall, professions actually pretty balanced in Kata. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this helps and catch you later. Bye.